Hello, everyone. Fresh Focus, just another short mini podcast while I'm away with some latest transfer news and a few thoughts on what's happening then for normal service resumes, possibly tomorrow night, certainly over the weekend, I'm sure, and then back into the full swing of things on Monday. A few things to talk about. Yoane Wissa, the latest on him, a little bit of mention for Richard Rios and one other target, Morgan Gibbs-White, and then Steve Parish, who I've not spoken about, but will mention him today at the end. Starting with Yoane Wissa, David Ornstein, the impeccable transfer source, The Athletic, saying Newcastle are exploring a move to sign Wissa from Brentford after cooling their interest on Hugo Ekitike. It looks like he might be going to Liverpool. He says no contact yet, but it's expected soon, which means it's going to happen. Personal terms also need to be agreed. Availability and price may depend on Mbermo case, depending on if and when he goes to Man United. So that's what David Ornstein is saying. And I said on Twitter when Ornstein tweeted about Liverpool and Isak, I don't think these things come out unless there's something in it, a willingness for a player to move and possibly a deal to be done. So that would be really frustrating. Forest have sort of circled Wissa for weeks and weeks and months and offered not enough. And maybe we've been too slow. And Newcastle are going to beat us to it with Champions League football. And that would be a real shame and a real frustrating one at a time when we're behind where we need to be. So if he goes there, then that's going to create some blowback, I'm sure, from fans who are already frustrated. So while I'm still very much in the boat that we will make signings, we will have a strong squad come the start of the season, losing Wissa, who I think would be a really good signing, would be further pain after Bakayoko and obviously the Gibbs-White and the Elanga situation. So we've got so much work to do and we're a long way behind where we need to be. It's the 17th of July. So 1 year ago tomorrow, Milenkovic signed for us. So we did a lot of our work late. But, if Edu is overseeing this and from listening to Tom on Monday saying he focuses on a target and maybe moves a bit slowly, it looks like we might miss out on Wissa. So maybe this is the kick we need to get a proper bid in quickly and stake our case. Because if we want Wissa and we want Richard Rios, who I mentioned, we probably need to stump up some money soon. So hopefully this is all happening in the background and I don't know about it and you don't know about it listening. And we are moving quickly to get players in and it'll all come out in the wash in time. But right now, it looks like we might be losing out on Yoane Wissa as well. I don't know what the fee will be, but we need to probably get a move on. Talking of fees, Richard Rios looks like he's going to Roma for 30 million. Another player we've been linked with, less concrete, less certainly by the British media, but foreign media's linked us with him for ages. And it seemed like there might be something in it. He came off the back of a good Club World Cup. He seems to have developed as a player really well in the last 2 years to play as a deeper midfielder or more likely as a number 8. The fee's 30 million. It looked like the 3 clubs mentioned were us, Benfica and Roma, and Zenit St. Petersburg were there as well, but they've dropped out. So those 3 clubs, and it looks like he wants to join Roma and probably will for 30 million. So that one could be off the list. The final player I was going to mention is Samuel Lino, 25-year-old Atletico Madrid winger. According to Fabrizio Romano, we're in for him, but he's waiting for Champions League clubs to see, I think, is the position, which is the position we find ourselves in so often. 46 games, 8 goals, 8 assists last season for him. I don't know much about him. I'm sure he's a very talented player. But another one where we're waiting to see if basically a club in the Champions League will come in for him. So I mentioned Amari Hutchinson the other day. I feel like that's the kind of player we could get. Being in Europe isn't proving to be a great pull for the players that we're going for in terms of the Europa League because they want Champions League. But players like Hutchinson and the clubs that we're still competing with, Brentford, Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth. If we were to go in for those players, I think being in Europa League would give us a pull, to bring us those in and win those battles. But at the moment, we're competing with clubs in the Champions League to try and get there ourselves. And we're losing that battle time and again, be it for Champions League football, be it for London, be it for money, wages, I don't know, but they're battles we seem to be losing. I know we're on the outside of things and don't always know what's going on. So a lot of this was what we're reading and hearing ourselves in the media. But we're losing transfer battles in pretty decent volume at the moment, and we need to, players like Hutchinson, players like Harvey Elliott, who's now linked with Spurs. I think there's players there. I still think McAtee's a player that would suit us well in a central role, not necessarily in a wide role. But these are players that probably need a year to develop, and that requires patience from us as fans, and probably patience from recruitment team and everything for those players. So we're trying to get in the Champions League, and it's a difficult situation because we're losing the players that we want. The players that we can get probably aren't ready for Champions League, but might be in a couple of years. So it feels pretty frustrating, this whole transfer scenario. We'll pick it up on Monday, certainly, with Fletch and Temps, I think, and maybe Pete, I think it is the panel for that one. So that's the transfer stuff. Staying with our own club, Morgan Gibbs-White, Ben Jacobs reporting that we're trying to get him to sign a new contract. We want to keep him unless this deal with Spurs happens, whether they pay more money to make this legal stuff go away or the legal stuff is resolved via the legal route. He says, transfer journalist Ben Jacobs, clarity expected by the end of next week. We want to keep him. We want him to sign a new contract, and then maybe he goes in a year. I think I'm just maybe the position where he just needs to go. I don't know. If it was a bit different, like there wasn't this perception among the fan base that the tides turned a bit against Morgan, then you could probably see a way back, but it feels difficult at the moment. So I think he probably needs to go for me. I'm not one that's going to particularly. I don't really go for the snake stuff. I think players, it's a short career. Players view clubs differently to fans view them. They might love a club in the way that they want to do their best for it and be a part of a team and have that team spirit, but players don't see it as us fans do at all. So for me, I think he needs to go before it starts being a drag on the dressing room, and time runs out and he goes in late August and we have no one to replace him. So that's my view. I think it's probably best to part ways unless he signs a contract very quickly and makes it clear he's happy to stay, and he'll have to do some pretty grovelling interviews as well. I think, to try and get fans back on side, which is a shame because he was so loved and he'd done so much for us in 3 years. But it feels like a lot of bridges have been burned. So clarity by next week on that one, according to Ben Jacobs. Finally, Steve Parish and Palace. I've not commented on this much at all because I do feel for Palace and their fans that they've been kicked out of the Europa League. The football finds a way for Man City to play when they're paired with Girona, and Chelsea are paired with Strasbourg or whatever. As always, it feels like the bigger clubs get what they want, and Palace feel like they're a bit of a sacrificial lamb in that sense, the perception of what fans have. So I feel for them, and I'm not commented on it at all. And with Steve Parish, who seems to have done a great job as Palace owner, but when he did this interview with Gary Lineker, where Lineker asked him, did Forest play a part in all this? And his quote was, "We're led to believe that's the issue. If there wasn't someone else that wanted to get in as a consequence, there wouldn't be a problem," which is total nonsense. They would have investigated it. Even if Forest were lobbying furiously to get Palace out, which I don't know, we don't know if they are or not, that shouldn't have any bearing on it at all. It just sounds like he's deflecting and flailing now from the failings that Palace have had in this process, notably the whole email thing and not reading key emails. And it feels a shame that Palace fans have fallen for this Forest, boogeyman or whatever, that turning against Forest and turning against Marinakis. And I don't think we're a factor in this at all. Even if he's right, another club would have taken their spot. There were other clubs waiting. Clubs aren't going to turn down this opportunity to play in the Europa League. So I just don't understand where he's coming from, apart from trying to create a narrative around Palace having no part in this at all. I think the rules are wrong, but Palace have failed in this, certainly. So yeah, those are just a few thoughts. Like I say, we're back tomorrow, back on Monday certainly, and probably on Saturday as well, would be the plan. So thanks for your company today. Just a reminder for the Trent Nav, the Lions tour is on Saturday, 10 a.m. So it's only a couple of days away. You can get your breakfast there, enjoy your Guinness and all that kind of stuff. to make a morning of that, at least if you're a Lions fan. So do us a favour, hit like on this. We've got another podcast out today, something totally different, with Dylan Mapletoft, who's a comedy writer and a big Forest fan, chatting about his life supporting the Reds. So check that out. I'm not expecting to get huge viewing figures, but it is a good one. So hopefully you'll enjoy that one. In the meantime, thanks for your company, and we shall see you soon.